amount of time, you know that our board op, John Tabor, and about several months ago, basically, let's just say he cut back on the donuts. He cut them out. So I felt like, you know what? We're going to have the Pillowy Fluff Delicious Daylight Donuts. But I said, John, what would you like to eat? And I must tell you, this is not a paid endorsement. Rolling Smoke, a brisket, egg, and cheese burrito. Phenomenal breakfast is here this morning on the Nick Brown Show. Complement that with the Pillowy Fluff Delicious Daylight Donuts and Community Cafe Special. So, great day. Always love hearing from the most intelligent audience in all of sports radio. We welcome those watching on YouTube or listening on Classic Hits 94.5 in Jackson, Alabama. Certainly appreciate Steve for all that he does each and every week. Now, I want to start this week in jam-packed. Me and Scarborough are going to join us at 9 this morning. But I must tell you, a lot of times you see athletes make this lawsuit, and you say, oh, man, they have everything. Because you go back. I remember the 40-hour practice rule for the week. Like, how are we going to adjust to that? Because some colleges would practice longer than that, but you adjust. And then you had cost of attendance. And then your name, image, likeness. And then you have guys that just want to stay in college, female athletes as well. Well, the other day, the 5-for-5 rule is going to go into effect. And we've all known that you've had 5 years to play for forever. But what this says is you're going to have 5 years to compete for 5 years. And an age restriction like 24, you got to go. It's interesting because could you just not go to college and then start late, a gap year? But there's been a lawsuit filed, and you'll say, of course there has. But it alleges the new NCAA rule is unfair to high school class of 2022. Now, a lot of times when you hear that, you go right away, oh, man, that's just a frivolous lawsuit, or that's just not right. Athletes want everything. I'm going to tell you, they really miss it by a year. But I'm going to argue actually for these student athletes. And I'm going to tell you when we go through and look at it, and I'm going to explain it to you and get your opinion, the most intelligent audience in all of sports radio. But with that, we go to the Origin Bank hotline, and we have Chuckopedia. Good morning, Chuck. How are you?
Good morning to you all. Yeah, I heard about the NCAA situation, and each day I think it was what was happening. Now I think things are fizzling out with that organization, which was founded by President Theodore Roosevelt. I think it's going down. It's antiquated, and people just kind of saying it's kind of putting them out of business. That's what these Power Four institutions are kind of. I think it's going to be a governing thing for Power Four, and I think they're kind of on their way out. The people are seeing whether they stuck in their ways, and I think now the way this landscape has changed. And just to segue into what we were just talking about, while we're on the NCAA, I was thinking about we just had the past college World Series national championship, and shout out to the University of Oklahoma for winning. They hadn't won it since 1994. I remember they went in 2022. Ole Miss beat them. That's what saved Mike Bianco's job at Ole Miss. After that national championship, that saved his job. And but I didn't realize. I didn't know Oklahoma was that good. I didn't know Skip Johnson had that kind of team. Because all the eyes were on. I had predicted University of North Carolina, but and not taking anything away from Scott Forbes, he had a great team. That's why I was looking at it. And I didn't realize what Oklahoma has. I think about the Mercurius brothers and others on that team. And but it showed when they hit the diamond in Omaha, Nebraska, and Oklahoma pulled out. They beat them 13-2. I was convinced right there. And what happened? I remember that '94 team when they won with Larry Cochell, the head coach. I remember that's when they had Darvin Traylor and Chip Glass, and when they beat that Georgia Tech team with Jason Varitek and Nomar Garcia Parra. And Oklahoma is saying, usually Oklahoma think, softball has been doing all kinds of, they've been winning the championships with Patty Gasso, who's been there for years. Well, she won 8 national championships, and now the men just kind of picked up the slack and they won it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And also, I'm gonna land on this one. Carlos Mendoza, that's been the talk. Terminated as Mets manager, and David Stearns is getting a lot of mixed opinions about his terminating. You know, he's director of baseball operations, and there are people saying, "Oh, yeah, that was a great move." There are those saying Stearns doesn't know what he's doing. But we will see what the owner Stephen Cohen, the Moneybags, is going to do about the situation. Is he going to keep Stearns? That'll be my landing gear.
Hey, man, Chuck, always appreciate your call. You have a great Saturday, and appreciate you listening to the Nick Brown Show.
All right, you all take care, and just have a great weekend. And I know you've been watching the World Cup and all these other things going on, FIFA.
Absolutely, Chuck, man. You have a great Saturday.
All right, you all take care.
You can call just like Chuck did at 888-993-7762 or text the Preacher Man on the Origin Bank text line. Only one number you have to remember, and that is 888-993-7762. But this past week, the NCAA says, you know what, we're going to give you 5 years. Well, 15 college basketball players filed a lawsuit in Ohio State court claiming the new age-based model unfairly shuts them out of further competition. Now, and you hear that, your thought is like, oh, man, another lawsuit from athletes. Can't they just go away? Well, the NCAA is now going to allow athletes 5 seasons of competition over a 5-year period that begins with their full-time enrollment or their academic year following their 19th birthday, whichever comes first. Now, this move is going to eliminate waivers. It's going to eliminate redshirt years for extended eligibility. Except now you are going to be able to have your religious mission trips, pregnancy, or active duty military service. No longer will extensions be considered for athletes who are injured. Now, under the old rule, you really could have gotten 6 years. I looked up, like Haynes King was a quarterback at Texas A&M for Georgia Tech. He had 6 years. 1 year, he was redshirted. 1 year, a medical redshirt. Now, it's interesting. Athletes whose eligibility expired spring of 2026 under the traditional model, 4 years of competition over 5 years, will not be allowed a 5th year of competition under the new rules that go into effect this fall. Now, I'm going to stop right there. If you wanted to get this right, what you would do, because you think about it, every athlete that graduates in the class of 2027 will have 5 years of competition. Everyone that finishes. So right now, your son or daughter is an athlete, and they are going to be a senior next year. They graduate. They have 5 years to compete. They will not be redshirted, so they go, basically, you can call it 2 freshman year, whatever you want to be. They have 5 years to compete. I don't have a problem with that because a lot of times you would have someone redshirt, and then they would play 4. And, man, the archaic rules on redshirting. Like you win if you just appeared in one baseball game. If you threw 4 pitches, your year was gone. But yet in football, you could play X amount of percentage and you could still retain your red shirt. That was one of the newer rules. Remember that? Because a lot of players were on the bench. They played like 2 or 3, but yet then they were eligible in the playoffs. Where are you going to play them? But I want you to think just for a minute. In the class of 2022 is the one that's really filing this lawsuit. But really, it should be the class of 23. Now, let me explain just for a minute. You finish in 22, 23. Let's go 23. You come to college, you're a freshman. That is a year the NCAA said, okay, everyone's going to get a COVID year. So now that class of 2023 and 2022 were competing against the COVID year athletes. Well, now the class of 2024, by virtue of this rule, will now get their year back. So if you're a class of 2024 graduate and you played 2 years of JUCO baseball, you now have 3 years. If you're a class of 23, you have 2 years. I think if you want to make it fair, I think these athletes are totally correct on their lawsuit that they should make everyone that is on a roster fifth year. Doesn't matter if they were redshirted, give them that fifth year. But you guys' thoughts, the cheer guy and the preacher man thoughts on the 5 years.
You mean like as a whole? Like,
yes.
I mean, as a whole, I think it's a good idea. It makes it to where we've got to stop policing all these athletes and making sure that, what reason that they were medically unable to play, like, was legitimate and everything else. So I think in the end, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good transition for college athletics. I do think, like you said, I think it's hard you do have to have kind of this is who it starts with and everything else. So I think that at some point, someone's going to get left out during the transition to the rule. But really what I would like to see is the rule just stick for a while. The NCAA loves to kind of bounce around rules a lot, it seems. And so I think that if they'll just stick with this model and actually let it pan out, I think that it would be pretty successful.
Yeah, and then, it's just like the compensation rule. They chose 2016. This is the year we're going to go back and back pay athletes. Well, what about the guys in 12, 13, and 14? I mean, at some point, somebody gets left out. The biggest thing I want to see is just the NCAA actually have a ruling hold up in court, period. Because I think that's the only way we get back to a little bit of normalcy in college sports. And there's also the point about, how long do you need to play college sports? I mean, I realize a few of these athletes are getting compensated pretty good and there's no pro career ahead, but probably for the bulk of them, they're not. And, let's move on to what's next in life.
And I think what Preacher Man just said is probably the biggest issue the NCAA has right now is they're not even able to police their own rules because there's so many lawsuits and injunctions getting filed and everything else that it's making it almost impossible for them to even uphold their rules across the board. And so I think that's where something simple like this, it becomes a lot easier because now it's just you have the 5 years. And if you don't compete within those 5 years, if you get hurt all 5 years, it's just unfortunate. But there's no more, this person can sue because they missed for this and that. Like, they have clear, simple guidelines that I think will help in the future.
Well, and they're going to appreciate Steve on Classic Hits 94.5 in Jackson, Alabama. Solomon Tuliaupupu will be entering his 9th year of college football this year for the Montana Grizzlies. But I do understand, but if you want to make it right, you knew there were going to be something to challenge it if you went in right now and said every athlete on the roster, regardless of what year they finish, will be granted the 5th year. If the cheer guy redshirted at Louisiana Monroe and he's now playing his senior year, that would make him 4 years to play. You get a year at 5th. If the preacher man at the University of Tennessee has now played, this will be his 4th year. If you gave everyone that's on a roster a 5th year, then everybody would be equal and there would be no lawsuits. There wasn't a lot of thought put into this. But with that, there is a lot of thought put into the Pillowy Pluff Delicious Daylight Donut and Community Coffee, little cafe special this morning, as well as a brisket, egg, and cheese burrito. You listen to The Nick Brown Show on the Nick Brown Show Network. We'll be right back after this break.
Has your yard work and summer fun already put your back and neck in a bind? Bending, lifting, twisting puts additional tension and pressure on your back and neck. Once your muscles and nerves become inflamed, you start to feel the pain and stiffness, and no matter how many over-the-counter medications you take, it just won't go away. Well, it's time to call Dr. Bob Rendina at Chiro Network in Ruston. Chiropractic treatments work to get your back and neck working properly again. Play it smart. Stretch before and after. And when you need a chiropractor, call Dr. Bob Rendina at Chiro Network in Ruston.
ProVision Security, preserving your past, protecting your future. Cameras, doorbell cameras, systems you can control all from your smartphone. Security systems with low monthly monitoring starting at $14.99. ProVision Security is more than security. Sound systems, hanging your flat screen TV, speakers in your ceiling, even Wi-Fi systems. ProVision Security, 314 East Georgia in Ruston. Call Michael at 773-3703. Check him out on Facebook. ProVision Security.
Between school drop-offs, practice, and work, who has time to get sick? When your family needs medical care, don't press pause on your life. Adala Health Primary Care in Ruston is your ultimate health care game changer. We make family wellness easy with fast, comprehensive care, routine checkups, and school physicals. Our passionate team gets your crew back on track and back to your schedule without the hassle. Book instantly at AdalaHPC.com or call 318-551-4311 or visit Adala Health at 902 South Vienna Street today.
Get the plus, Homes Plus.
This is Brandon Kraft, General Manager at Homes Plus. Are you tired of your rent going up or paying someone else's bills? At Homes Plus, we are North Louisiana's land and home specialist, so come in and see us today so that we can show you how to own for less than renting.
Get the plus, Homes Plus.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46, and I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. It's all online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Please be advised, you may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
I thought those were good for me.
What's healthy for one person may cause inflammation for another. So how do you know what your body actually needs? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that analyzes your real-time biology to give you personalized nutrition guidance and custom supplements.
Learn more at Viome.com/gut. V as in Victor, IOME.com/GUT. And use coupon code GUTHEALTH50 to save $50 off your purchase.
Saturday morning, sports and the Nick Brown Show. You can't beat it.
Welcome back to the Nick Brown Show on the Nick Brown Show Network. Appreciate those listening wherever they may be. Certainly appreciate those in Alabama and Louisiana as well, Arkansas and small parts of Mississippi. But can you imagine 9 years in college as a college athlete? I know that there are extremes, but all of the athletes in this 2022 lawsuit, they competed a year against those with COVID, so everybody in front of them got an extra year. And you say, Brownie, what's the big deal? Well, I'm going to explain the big deal to you. And now those after you get another year. So if you are a player, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever it may be, and there's a guy you're practicing, you're challenging for this one position, and two guys are relatively equal, I would go with the guy that's going to give you for 3 years. Now, I do realize with the transfer portal, you're going to be able to leave and go wherever you want to. And I think that's where the biggest problem is in college athletics today. But I have no problem with athletes being given a 5th year. But I think if you want to avoid the lawsuits, take everyone that's on a roster and make them equal. Make them equal, because then you will not have any problems with the lawsuits whatsoever. Looking through a copy of Lindy's, Lynn Scarborough going to join us this morning at 9. And I must tell you, a lot of you sent text in, and I had Lynn explain this last week. And I did not know this. I did not realize, Cheer Guy and Preacher Man, that they did so many copies. Like there's a Florida edition, and you go through the different state editions. There's a Georgia edition, and it's based on sales that they do that. You would certainly think there could be there's an Alabama edition. So there's a state of Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. You would think there would be one with Louisiana. You think, with sales, you would get to that point.
Yeah, for sure. You would think in Louisiana with, just LSU alone, that you would have enough people down there just ready to read up on the Tigers for the next year that they would be able to have their own. You also would have, I thought that there was just one national magazine.
Yes.
I didn't realize that each little region had its own kind of flair to it that catered more to that region. But yeah, when Lynn was talking to us about it, I was definitely very surprised that there's not a Louisiana version.
All right, jumping over real quick. We talk about money and everything. You look at the buyouts, and I saw that Brian Kelly is going to be an analyst next year. But I was looking at the biggest buyouts from the past year, over $250 million. $54 million went to Brian Kelly. $49 million went to James Franklin. That was reduced to $9 million when he got the Virginia Tech job. $38 million to Mark Stoops, who was at Kentucky. $33 million to Michigan State's Jonathan Smith. And just $21 million to Billy Napier, who's now going to be at James Madison. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be the one to watch with Billy Napier. Sunbelt Media Days coming up July 15th and 16th. I'm not going to make a trip to New Orleans and go, but Billy Napier is going to be at James Madison. And that's going to be one of those programs that's projected to break into the college football playoff. But if you're Billy Napier, and I thought about this, I guess I'm just a shallow person. Like, if I'm Billy Napier, even though, like, I recruited these athletes, and I think you would say this, your answer would be, well, I recruited these athletes. But if you got fired from a job at, like, the University of Florida, like, do you want to see them succeed, or do you want to see them just tank? Like, for me, I'm shallow and selfish. I'm like, I want to see you guys, if you don't win a game, that's fine with me.
I mean, I think pre these buyout days, yeah, that's probably how it would be. But right now, it's like, man, I don't really care. You guys are paying me anyways. Okay, let's talk about buyouts for a second. What are your thoughts on these buyouts that these college coaches are getting?
I think they're absolutely insane.
And athletic directors, to me, are to blame for a lot of this because they're we've got to do this. Oh, he'll leave us. And a lot of these coaches, you go, okay, if he leaves you, where's he going?
Well, my thing is, okay, so this is my argument. If I'm applying for a job, okay, so I'm applying to be the head coach of football. We'll just use Louisiana Tech right here. And I'm walking into the interview saying, hey, I want 5 years on my contract. If you guys fire me before then because I'm not succeeding, you're still going to have to pay me money. To me, as soon as I say that, it is a lack of faith in me as a coach to be able to be successful. Like, I'm saying, hey, I need an escape plan for if I'm not successful at this level. So to me, the bigger the buyout gets, it's almost like the less faith the coach has in themselves that they're going to succeed. Like, I would almost rather see a coach come in and say, hey, I don't need a buyout. If I'm not successful, just like every other career, if I get fired, you just don't pay me anymore. If I'm not a good salesman, I don't work for you anymore as a salesman. I go and find another job.
Yeah, and I could see you throw in there, okay, look, we know it may take you a little bit of time to get a job or whatever. So, at that level, we're giving you $200,000 or $300,000. You got expenses, you got kids, you may take you 6 to 9 months. But yeah, the thought that you got 3 years left on your contract and are these lifetime contract guys, and we signed you a lifetime, we believed in you. Now you failed. More that's like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm like you. I mean, at the most, a 1-year buyout should be in there that gives the coach a little something to survive for a year. But beyond a year, I don't know. And again, I just thinking about, the coach has one good year run a lot of times. And so they put these long buyouts. We don't want to lose him. Somebody's going to take him. And I'm just thinking, like, a lot of times, how many coaches are out there that really, if they left, the program's just going to tank?
Well, I mean, even let's look at LSU. LSU, Lane Kiffin, $91 million contract over 7 years. His buyout, he's guaranteed 80%. He's guaranteed 80%. I don't know about you guys, but I could live for a very long time off of 80% of $91 million.
Yeah, $70 million, 72.
Appreciate Coach Curtis Conde chiming in this morning on the text line. He's enjoying the show. Appreciate that. Great guy. One of the good ones. Really enjoyed when he coached at Louisiana Tech. And I'm going to talk basketball just for a minute because you talk about buyouts. Dusty May, who's been on this show, we're going to reach out and have him on the show to talk about Michigan. Now we're going to have him on the show to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. But it's interesting who's going to take over the Maize and Blue. And so I thought that would be a great spot, as a lot of Auburn people did, not an Auburn show, Quint. Thought, you know what, Nate Oates would be ideal for Michigan. Nate Oates' buyout, if he leaves for another school before March of 2027, the Wolverines would owe Alabama $15 million. Safe to say Nate Oates will remain with the Crimson Tide, but it's interesting. Nate Oates is actually, you look in the SEC, how many buyout for the basketball coach is greater than the football coach, you think, but Kalen DeBoer's buyout is not as much as Nate Oates at the Capstone. But $15 million, if he said, I want to go coach the Wolverines, I think Boynton's going to he's going to be interim. I think he's going to get the job permanently. I think he's going to have a good year, and that will be your full-time coach at the University of Michigan.
Well, and I think those kind of buyouts are fine. You're trying to protect your assets. You're trying to protect other schools from coming in and getting your staff. I think the issue for me is the buyouts on when it's without cause, in quotes. To me, losing is pretty good cause for termination of a contract as a head coach.
And you're telling me LSU, if Lane Kiffin doesn't succeed, can't go out and find a competent, good coach? I mean, why would you have to pay Lane Kiffin that kind of money? Now, maybe he doesn't come, but again, I'm LSU, and I'm like, you want to come coach here? This is LSU. You're not holding us on over a barrel. We're going to hold you over a barrel. And I think, same deal at Alabama, Georgia, Texas, some of these programs, we're bigger than you, coach. And it's an honor to come here and coach. And, yeah, we'll give you a 1-year buyout, 2 years maybe if you've proven yourself. But we're not doing these ridiculous $50, $60, $70 million buyouts anymore.
All right, we'd love to hear from you at 888-993-7762. That is the Origin Bank hotline and text line. I'm going to refill that coffee cup. You do the same thing. You listen to The Nick Brown Show on the Nick Brown Show Network. We'll be right back after this break.
Friends, this is Skip Russell, your #1 insurance agent in Ruston for the past 42 years. I want you to know that I would be proud to be your insurance agent. Come by and check out our new lower rates on automobile insurance. Call us at 255-5050 or come by our office at 105 Reynolds Drive in Ruston. That's behind Wendy's and Captain D's. Thank you.
Hey guys, the gals aren't the only ones that care about their look. Let Adrian Russell or Dara Davis at LaBella Salon give you just the right hairstyle. Need a massage? Mamie Lee is their massage therapist and can work out those sore, tired muscles. Go ahead, schedule an appointment today. Call LaBella Salon 202-5848. LaBella Salon, 105 Reynolds Drive, next to Skip Russell State Farm in Ruston. What are you waiting for? Now's a great time to give them a call. LaBella Salon, 202-5848. Walk-ins welcome.
Okay, so clearly the word is out about Country Pleasin' sausage. Thank you for helping make Country Pleasin' your go-to sausage on game day. From original to jalapeno and cheese, black pepper cheddar, even crawfish and pork, we can't get enough at Sports Talk 97.7, and it seems like you can't either. Check for Country Pleasin' at your local retailer, and for additional flavors, check them out at countrypleasin.com. That's countrypleasin.com.
You were an entrepreneur before you knew what an entrepreneur was. The boss of every stuffed animal in the toy box. The kid who had strategy and passion from day one. You ran a lemonade stand that actually turned a profit. Every day, Origin helps people like you who've always had the vision to see the full potential of any idea and make it happen. Connecting people to their dreams is our passion. Every great relationship has an origin story. Start yours today.
Member FDIC. Trained to push past the pain. Not athletes, just people. Men, women, and children trafficked every day in the United States. Sometimes by someone they trusted, sometimes by their own family. While millions watch the World Cup, they're fighting to survive in silence. Help us change that. Visit bluecampaign.gov/World Cup to help us break the silence.
It's here. King of the Hill and WD-40 brand present the limited edition King of the Hill WD-40 Collector's Can. Available now exclusively at the Home Depot, in-store and online. How many are you grabbing? One for you, one for your dad, and one for every Hank in your life. Get your King of the Hill WD-40 Collector's Can today before they're gone. Watch the new season of the Hulu original King of the Hill on July 20th. Streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply. Available nationwide for a limited time or while supplies last. Availability varies by location and online.
Thanks for tuning in to The Nick Brown Show. On the air, online, and free app.
Welcome back to the Nick Brown Show on the Nick Brown Show Network. Is it time for Notre Dame to join a conference? Well, before that, I have these two guys here, and they're really just here, and they're like, Brownie, do you ever really prepare for what you're going to say on the show? And I don't have like a lot of stuff just written down, but we've got two new features starting today on the Nick Brown Show. We're going to have inspirational words from the preacher man towards the end of the show, but the list from the cheer guy is going to be a new part of the show, and we actually even have a sounder for the list from the cheer guy.
Now, it's time for the Cheer Guys list. A list from Cheer Guy.
Wow, that is the first time I've heard that. It's gonna
that may be G-Mac's best work ever.
That may be, absolutely.
Whose idea was it? Was it yours?
Yes.
Wow. That's going to be hard to top right there.
You're going to have to do some work, man.
You better have a good list.
We better have a good list. I hope it stirs up a little controversy. So, so Nick texted us this week, hey, we're going to start the list. I'm like, what is the list? Anything you want. It could be best ballpark foods. It could be best rivalries. Kind of was steering me towards some high school rivalries. We kind of looked at that. And I said, you know what? We need to stir up a little conflict between all of us, which there's 4 of us in here, by the way. Nick, you said 2. There's 4. Nick's math is not mathing very well this morning. But anyways, so today we're going to do top 5 greatest individual college football seasons of all time. Now, we got to start with an honorable mention. Honorable mention is going to be the 2009 Florida Gators. Why are they honorable mention? Because they didn't win the national championship. They finished 13-1, lost to Alabama in the SEC championship, and so they were not able to go to the national championship. But that team, Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, do we need to say much more? Just a great team.
Boy, that's polar opposites.
Yeah, that's definitely. It was one killer season, if you know what we mean. Now, starting our top 5, we're going to go, this is going to be more modern probably for a lot of people, but to me, number 5 is going to have to go to the Indiana Hoosiers from this past season. They averaged a margin of victory of over 30 points, okay, led by Mendoza. And so I've got Indiana at number 5. At number 4, we're going to go 2020 Alabama. 2020 Alabama, led by Mac Jones, okay? So now we're going to get into our top 3. Hopefully here's where we get a little shakeup. I think that some of us can probably guess who's going to be in here. At number 3, much to Tabor's dislike, I'm going to go with the 1995 Nebraska Cornhuskers, led by Tom Osborne. They won every game by at least 14 points. Now, Tabor, I think you said that you would like to see Nebraska at number 1, but it's just not going to happen.
Probably number 2.
I think this is where the controversy will really start.
Yeah, this is the controversy, 2 and 3.
Now, at number 2, who do we think?
Well, I know what I think. I think you should put the 2010 Auburn Tigers. Quint, not an Auburn show, but you're showing no love to that team, which was phenomenal. I think you should have LSU number 1 and Auburn number 2, and then Tabor and I could fight about why Auburn with Cam Newton is greater than LSU with Joe Burrow. But please give us the cheer guy list.
Wow, okay. So at number 2, we are going with the 2019 LSU team. Okay. So we've got Ed Orgeron, Joe Burrow.
Who's number 3?
Number 3 was 1995 Nebraska.
Okay.
All right, go 5-4-3 again.
Wait,
So 5, Indiana.
Okay, Indiana.
4, we're going 2020 Alabama.
2020 Alabama. Everybody in Jackson, Alabama's happy.
3, we're going 1995 Nebraska.
At the corner, Scott Frost. Scott Frost?
No, that's
Tom Osborne.
Tom Osborne. I'm talking about playing.
Oh,
I'm having a brain fart. Quarterback.
Yes.
Had blood clot problems. Tommy Frazier.
Tommy Frazier, yes.
Okay. So then 2, we just said.
Hold up. Isn't it a side note that as soon as you said blood, I knew who you were talking about? Tommy Frazier. Go ahead.
Number 2, we had the 2019 LSU team.
No, number 1 has to be the 2010 Auburn Tigers.
It is not. We're going number 1, 2001 Miami Hurricanes. We're going to mix it up a little bit. Tabor does not agree. Here's the reasoning.
Did the 2001 Miami team win the national championship?
They did. They were undefeated.
Okay, I thought 01 was the year that they lost to Ohio State.
No, they were undefeated.
Because 2000 OU
They
won.
beat Nebraska by like 3 touchdowns in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, they beat Nebraska 37 to 14.
Yeah, I thought that was a year later. I thought that was 02 or 01. I mean,
yeah, that's what we got. 2001.
Okay,
yeah.
I was thinking it was 02.
Now here's why.
Please tell us.
I think that you have to look. One, you got to look whole body of work.
Okay, I got them reversed then. Yeah.
Okay, so I think you got to look whole body of work too, and you also have to look. And I think that's why Indiana for me is down at number 5. I could think you could make an argument for them moving up. But that 2001 Miami team had almost 40 players go on to be in the NFL with successful careers. So you've got them beating everyone. I think the average margin of victory was over 2 touchdowns that season. Let's see. Yeah, and they're beating ranked teams. So we've got pulling up their record. Number 14, Washington, 65-7. Number 11, Syracuse, 59-0. 12, Florida State 49-27. They win the national championship over Nebraska 37-14. You've got Ed Reed, Clinton Portis, Andre Johnson, Ken Dorsey. The list just goes on and on. And so that's my number 1. And I hoped it would stir up a little controversy because I figured in Louisiana, everyone would want that 2019 LSU team. And then Tabor said he wanted Nebraska. So I figured it'd give us a good little controversy first time.
And notice that Tennessee, Preacher Man's not saying the T. Martin-led Tennessee Vols to the national championship. But I'm going to throw one at you. To the top brother comes in with the 19 on the Origin Bank text line with the 1972 Auburn Tigers. Check out the Amazings. That was a good year. But I'm going to throw one, since my name is on the show, I'm going to throw one for you that you won't remember, I won't remember, and Preacher Man won't remember. But I'm going to tell you 1899. The greatest team in the history of college football. Since Preacher Man is from the state of Tennessee, do you know who I'm talking about?
1899?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. And you're a preacher. The Episcopalians
Swannies
put out a great team. No, just listen to this. October 21st, they defeated Georgia. And I'm going to go through every one because this is incredible. The University of the South, Sewanee. October 21st, they defeated Georgia 12-0 at Piedmont Park in Atlanta. Auburn fans and those Georgia fans will know that's where Auburn and Georgia first played. Oh, they didn't leave Atlanta. They hung around. 2 days later, they played Georgia Tech. They beat the Rambling Wreck 32-0. October 28th, 5 days later, they hosted Tennessee. They beat Tennessee 46-0. Now, there's a common theme going on. None of their opponents have scored. They had a little homecoming game November 3rd against Southwestern Presbyterian. They beat Southwestern 54-0. Okay, you're thinking, wait a minute, Brownie, did they play anybody tough? You got Georgia, Georgia Tech, Tennessee. Now you're going to put that asterisk under Southwestern Presbyterian? No, November 9th, they went to Varsity Field in Austin, Texas, and defeated the University of Texas, Hook 'em Horns 12-0. Oh, wait a minute. No one scored yet. Oh, the next day, they went to Houston and played Texas A&M. They defeated them 10-0. Oh, a little Louisiana flair. November 11th, Mind you, the 9th they played Texas. The 10th they played A&M in Houston. They got on a train, went to New Orleans. On the 11th, they played Tulane 23-0. They rested today on the 12th. November 13th, they made their way over to Baton Rouge. They defeated LSU 34-0. November 14th, they went to Memphis and defeated Ole Miss 12-0. Another homecoming game against Cumberland, 71-0. Nashville canceled on them. They then went to Riverside Park in Montgomery. That's basically where the Biscuits play now. They defeated Auburn 11-10. They closed out the season with a victory over North Carolina in Piedmont Park, 5-0. One team scored on them. It was the Auburn Tigers. It was 11-10. Sewanee won. That is the greatest season in the history of college football.
Could you imagine if we asked these college football teams to play 3 games in 8 days like they were doing?
And my understanding is back then, if you got injured and came out, you couldn't go back in.
That is correct.
So it's kind of like soccer.
Yeah, so
and you got guys playing both ways with no helmet, basically no helmet, no face
And then
mask.
they're rest and recovery. They're not getting this red light therapy and hydro massage like Nick's getting. They're hopping on a train and riding for hours down to their next game. Nick's like they're rested. And I'm like, no, they were riding on a train, which is probably worse than playing.
Interesting, the reason they took such a daunting schedule is because Vanderbilt, their rival, they got in an argument over gate receipts, and they needed to make money. So the manager, Luke Lee, thought of a way to make up for lost revenue and came up with this gauntlet of a schedule. You love your thoughts and opinions at 888-993-7762. That is the Origin Bank hotline and text line. We'll be right back after this break.
Here's your weather forecast on this Saturday. We'll continue to see warm conditions. A few clouds will pass through the area with a high of 95. Mainly clear this evening with a couple of clouds that will come up from time to time with a low of 75. For your Sunday, the temperature will drop a little bit as we're looking for partly cloudy conditions and a high of 70 and a low of 72. And then on Monday, we will see a drastic change in our temperature. Also about a 90 to 100% chance of rain, a high of 77 and a low of 68.
When Brownie buys bourbon, it's at the Keg Package. Operating since 1972, the Keg Package has been serving the Ruston Grambling community for over 50 years. The Hightowers purchased the Keg in 2005 and built a new prime location in 2013 on the Tarbutton exit. They offer a wide variety of hard-to-find beer, wine, and liquor. They also have over 20 flavors of delicious frozen drinks. You can purchase Best Stop Boudin and sausage along with Louisiana Tech steaks. Come experience Divine Wine and the Keg Package.
Friends, this is Skip Russell, your #1 insurance agent in Ruston for the past 42 years. I want you to know that I would be proud to be your insurance agent. Come by and check out our new lower rates on automobile insurance. Call us at 255-5050 or come by our office at 105 Reynolds Drive in Ruston. That's behind Wendy's and Captain D's. Thank you.
Don't let concerns about current events derail your long-term financial strategy. Hi, I'm Edward Jones, financial advisor Jeremy Hebert, and I'm here to help. We can work together to understand today's financial landscape and make sure you achieve your goals. While you can't control market volatility, you can control your financial future. Let's connect. Start by giving me a call at 318-251-9200.
Member SIPC.
Nick Brown for All Hours Fitness Ruston. In Ruston, life doesn't stop at 5 o'clock, neither should your goals. Welcome to All Hours Fitness Ruston, your 24/7 destination for strength, health, and a better you. We've just grown. Enjoy over 15,000 square feet of premium equipment, outdoor training, and live classes. With our exclusive ladies-only area, cryotherapy, red light therapy, massage bed, and tanning, we've taken away every excuse. Locally owned, built for life. Join the family at All Hours Fitness Ruston today.
I'm hashing over an ethical dilemma, so I think I could use some black coffee.
Of course, you can get black coffee and all your favorite coffee beverages at the Depot Coffee Shop. The Depot Coffee Shop is located at 211 West Railroad Avenue in downtown Ruston. The Depot Coffee Shop is coffee with a cause. The Depot Coffee Shop is open Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and on Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 8 to 3. Call in your order at 232-7084 or visit the Depot Coffee Shop.
Sports Talk, Southern Style, on The Nick Brown Show.
Welcome back to the Nick Brown Show, the Nick Brown Show Network. Appreciate those watching via YouTube or Facebook. Love for you to go subscribe to the Nick Brown Show YouTube channel. Got a few texts that rolled in, but there was interesting. You wanted to add a team to the list.
Well, that was for fun. I wanted to add the 39.
Well,
the 39 Tennessee Volunteers were the last team to not get scored a point in the regular season. But if I was picking one team, maybe 72 Southern Cal. 72 Southern Cal was a dominant football team. That's just kind of, I just started watching football, and Southern Cal was one of those that you got on a regular basis. John McVay coached them. They won every single game by at least 9 points, and they won 42-17 to Ohio State. And then there would be some debate on Nebraska, whether it was 95 Nebraska better or 71 Nebraska that was better. It said they went 13-0, defeated 3 teams ranked in the top 4 nationally, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Colorado, and just gave up an average of 8 points a game. But I agree with you on Miami, on that LSU team, just because of that offense as much as anything. Some of these other teams are on there because of defense, you know.
A couple of things about that 39 Tennessee team that you wanted to add to the list. Their closest game was the Auburn Tigers on December 9th, but you failed to mention
Not an Auburn show.
You went to the bowl game and lost to USC.
Yeah, and of course back then they declared the national champion before the bowl games, and all the players didn't go to the bowl games because of, it was considered more of a reward, and so some of them would go home for Christmas, some of them would go on to.
So you're making an excuse for USC to defeat you in the bowl game.
I'm just saying that was different back then on bowl games.
Interesting about that USC team. I know that Curtis Conde probably was in attendance at that game, but actually they tied twice that year. So so they had 2 ties on there. They tied UCLA and somebody else during the year. So anyway, good list from the cheer guy. Should Notre Dame join a conference? Should Notre Dame join a conference? Now, I know that you're going to question my math, but 1988, Notre Dame won the national title. Late Lou Holtz was the head coach. There have been 41 titles awarded since then. 1988, 41 national championships since then.
Wait, what?
It's like there have been 41 titles won since Notre Dame awarded since 1988.
It's not 2029.
There were some shared split titles. Remember how you had the co-champions?
Am I the only guy that liked split titles?
Yes.
So
I liked it in conferences. You might have a 3-way conference champion.
Are you counting UCF in there? Right?
No, that didn't. No.
They have a claimed national championship. Does that not count?
Are you counting Auburn? When they're on probation and claimed one as well?
Yes, absolutely. No, here you go. 41 championships. By the way, who was the last split? You remember? Remember when BYU and Georgia Tech split?
I do, yeah. And BYU, that was.
And your 4 split title. But anyway,
no strength of schedule.
Since
there.
Notre Dame won the title, the SEC has had 19 championships. Alabama's won 7, Auburn, Florida 3, Georgia 2, LSU 3, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas. That's just the champions. Now, Big Ten, Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio State, USC, Washington. Clemson and the ACC. Clemson, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Miami, and in the Big 12, Colorado. Is it time for Notre Dame to join a league? I mean, no, you don't have to, but I'm saying your results on the field, you're not getting a title.
Here is my biggest argument for it from not just a Notre Dame perspective. I partially think that they should be forced to join a conference simply because if we're going to count conference championship games towards whether or not someone makes it into the playoffs, but you are not eligible for one, I think that that's a weird precedent standard, especially. So now you get to go handpick your schedule. Then you don't have to play for a conference championship, which for some of these teams, that determines whether or not they make the playoffs, is if they win their conference championship game. So I don't really understand how they get to just kind of pick their own schedule, and then we get to say, well, we just don't have a conference, so we're not going to play in a conference championship game, so we don't have to, at the end of the season before the playoffs, face kind of like a a decision maker, and then we just get to kind of walk into the playoffs. So I think that they should be forced to join a conference.
Yeah, I mean, now on Notre Dame's side, I get why they don't, because right now, I mean, they got a
That's
much
what they get
easier,
to do, yeah.
They got an easier path to get to the championships, but especially if we go to 16 teams, and sadly, it seems like that the 24 team is really trending, which will probably definitely eliminate conference championship games. But I think if we go to 16 teams, I think you've almost got to, okay, guys, you got to be in a conference if you're going to be a part of this. And now how Notre Dame's not won a national championship with the alumni base and the fan following that they have, they should have NIL galore, because their fan base isn't just regionalized, it's from coast to coast.
But I think some of that comes with, because they're not in a schedule, sometimes they don't get tested quite like they need to leading into the playoffs. And I think that's why you see some of the letdown, is that they're, they have a hard time getting, like, you're not going to get these SEC teams to schedule you anymore, because,
Right.
I mean, when they've got, how many conference games are they up to now? Is it 9?
9, yes.
Yeah, now they're up to 9 conference games. Like, I'm not scheduling
Yeah.
a blue blood team to go against. Like, that's just not
The
happening.
ACC's got to be one that boots them, because right now the ACC gives them so many guaranteed games because of that other conference affiliation. So if they boot them out, they would be struggling to find opponents. A few texts, Ben Carlisle, staying true to Louisiana Tech. He says, great list. Anything that doesn't have LSU is a great list. FS says the amount of pro players on a college team is not always the best indication of the quality of a particular team. A lot of those Miami players were backups and played very little. And then, let's see, Captain is texting in, if I can get his open. He says, 1945 Army Black Knights.
They were kind of an honorable mention team.
The original transfer portal team, because of those wartime transfer rules, Army was basically able to recruit an all-star team. They beat Notre Dame 48-0, and number 2 Navy 32-13, who could also recruit an all-star team.
There you go. Love to hear from you at 888-993-7762. Again, 888-993-7762. That is the Origin Bank hotline and text line. Only one number you have to remember, and that is 888-993-7762. As we went through the Cheer Guys list of the greatest teams in college football, greatest seasons for college football, it is interesting. I've been reading a lot about Curt Cignetti, head coach of Indiana, led him to the title. And you have to think, we often say, like, would you rather be an assistant coach at an SEC program or the head coach at an FCS program? And a lot of times for me, it would be easier to say, I would rather be an assistant at the University of Tennessee than the head coach of UT Martin.
I'd rather be an assistant at an FCS school.
Yeah, there you go. Shoot, that way to have good.
No.
Preacher Man thinks his ideal football position would be backup deep snapper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not playing.
Boy, don't put yourself.
Yes, I'm I'm the guy that.
We now know why you are the associate of the associates to the associate pastor, fourth in command. No, by the way, but Curt Cignetti went to IUP, which Indiana University of Pennsylvania. And he stayed there for a while. Then he went to Elon, North Carolina. Then to James Madison. Then he led to Indiana. But it's interesting, 146-37. How many people will be willing to go down? Like, you look like Lane Kiffin. We talk about Lane Kiffin now at LSU. And he left Tennessee. But Lane Kiffin did go to Florida Atlantic. He was at Fresno. But would he have taken an FCS job to get to what he wanted? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but like what Curt Cignetti did is very impressive. With that, we go to the Origin Bank hotline. Bama Jim, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Nick. How's all the gang there? Everybody's there. The Cheerman and Rev.
Oh, everybody's here today. You got it.
John Tabor. It's a party going on.
It actually is. I must tell you, we had a Pillowy Fluff Delicious Daylight Donut, and we had a brisket, egg, and cheese burrito from Rolling Smoke. Absolutely a great breakfast day.
All right, let me tell you something we ain't talked about. far as the greatest teams. Bud Wilkerson in the 50s. You remember Bud Wilkerson? I know you do.
Oklahoma, there you go, yes.
82 straight victories.
That is very impressive, yes.
Huh? That's 4 years.
4 years, that's right. I don't think Cheer Guy likes the state of Oklahoma for some reason.
What made you think that?
Because you left him and put Bud Wilkinson on your list. Bama Jim, greatest Bama team you remember? 1979? Goal was it? That's a goal line stand in the.
It's the goal line stand in the
Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl. Yeah. I mean, my goodness, you're a foot away, you got 4 plays, you can't score. My goodness. Hey, Rev.
Yes, sir.
You do your job tomorrow. I see you're gonna have a little devotional at the end of this. That's good.
It's just gonna be a quote and a statement, but that's about all I'm good for. But I'll do my best.
Well, you were good for a lot of things, Rev. Don't put yourself down. Even though Tennessee sucks, you are a good man.
Well, that's what people say about the Orange. So.
Man, I appreciate you calling in, Bama Jim. You have a great weekend.
I will. Thank y'all.
You look at it, I know you probably didn't go back. We were talking this past week and came up with a list, an homage to sports director Sean Fox here at Sports Talk 97.7 because he always does lists. And he went through, and I'm asking this for those in Jackson, Alabama, Classic Hits 94.5, and Steve and everyone listening. Hey, the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks for your university. And you should know thy enemy. John Tabor and I went over the University of Alabama, who we would put on the University of Alabama's Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks. And it was a no-brainer for us. Like, we went boom, boom, boom. Like, easily went Bart Starr. And then Tabor said Joe Namath. I said Kenny Stabler. And then we said, you know what, you can put whoever you want to at number 4. I jokingly said Richard Todd played for the New York Jets, or Rutledge held the clipboard for the New York Giants for years. Like, I went through the Mount Rushmore. And this list, and again, the Cheer Guy is a lot younger than we are. And so he would have had like Jay Barker and A.J. McCarron on. And so I'm asking those on Classic Hits 94.5, the Mount Rushmore of Bama quarterbacks. And I remember watching this 79 Alabama team play. Interesting, you and I are sitting right here beside each other. Do you know that the only time that team trailed was to Tennessee and to Auburn? That was it.
The Jimmy Streeter Vols.
And they defeated Tennessee 27-17 at Legion Field. And they defeated Auburn also at Legion Field 25-18.
Alabama was not known for quarterbacks for a long time. Good
With
guys,
wishbone.
Very much game managers when they did start throwing. Good guys did okay in the NFL. Even Namath didn't have any kind of big stats.
He doesn't remember calling his shot on the Super Bowl.
Well, no, I mean in college.
He's talking college.
In college, he didn't have big stats.
We're going to take a break. You know what? I'm out of coffee, and he thinks that Joe Namath is a horrible quarterback.
No,
I'm
going
to
get didn't have big stats in college.
The views of the Preacher Man do not represent anybody other than the Preacher Man.
Joe's the king.
We'll be right back after this break.
Between school drop-offs, practice, and work, who has time to get sick? When your family needs medical care, don't press pause on your life. Adala Health Primary Care in Ruston is your ultimate health care game changer. We make family wellness easy with fast, comprehensive care, routine checkups, and school physicals. Our passionate team gets your crew back on track and back to your schedule without the hassle. Book instantly at AdalaHPC.com or call 318-551-4311 or visit Adala Health at 902 South Vienna Street today.
Sexton Animal Health Center in Ruston serves your pet and you, providing high-quality pet health and wellness services to assist your pet in living a longer, happier, and healthier life, and providing you with access to leading-edge products, services, and educational content to enhance the bond with your pet. Sexton Animal Health Center is a full-service veterinary medical facility, providing the best possible medical, surgical, digital radiology, and dental care for their patients. And ask about pet daycare and boarding, too. Sexton Animal Health Center, 1628 East Kentucky in Ruston. Become a friend on Facebook to receive the latest news and updates.
You were an entrepreneur before you knew what an entrepreneur was. The boss of every stuffed animal in the toy box. The kid who had strategy and passion from day one. You ran a lemonade stand that actually turned a profit. Every day, Origin helps people like you who've always had the vision to see the full potential of any idea and make it happen. Connecting people to their dreams is our passion. Every great relationship has an origin story. Start yours today.
Member FDIC. I'm hashing over an ethical dilemma, so I think I could use some black coffee.
Of course, you can get black coffee and all your favorite coffee beverages at the Depot Coffee Shop. The Depot Coffee Shop is located at 211 West Railroad Avenue in downtown Ruston. The Depot Coffee Shop is coffee with a cause. The Depot Coffee Shop is open Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and on Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 8 to 3. Call in your order at 232-7084 or visit the Depot Coffee Shop.
Has your yard work and summer fun already put your back and neck in a bind? Bending, lifting, twisting puts additional tension and pressure on your back and neck. Once your muscles and nerves become inflamed, you start to feel the pain and stiffness, and no matter how many over-the-counter medications you take, it just won't go away. Well, it's time to call Dr. Bob Rendina at Chiro Network in Ruston. Chiropractic treatments work to get your back and neck working properly again. Play it smart. Stretch before and after. And when you need a chiropractor, call Dr. Bob Rendina at Chiro Network in Ruston.
You know what that sound means. It's time for the Pillowy Pluff Delicious Daylight Donut. Go visit them at 108 Monticello Avenue in Ruston, just north of I-20. They're open Monday 5:30 to 10:30 a.m., Tuesday through Friday 5:30 to 11:30 a.m., and on Saturday and Sunday from 6 to 12. Daylight Donuts of Ruston, proudly supporting the Nick Brown Show for the last 10 years. Ask for a wedding cake-filled donut. It's a Nick Brown Show favorite.
Get in the game. Now, back to the Nick Brown Show.
Welcome back to the Nick Brown Show on the Nick Brown Show Network. You hear that college fight song? That means we're going to the greatest athlete ever to come out of Rock Creek, Alabama. That is Lynn Scarborough from Lindy's Magazine. Good morning, Lynn. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I tell you, if that were to be true, we've had a historically bad run of athletes coming out of Rock Creek. My heyday was with the 12-year All-Stars. I know I've told you this before. I make a great catch running out into right field and turn around to throw the guy out who had, was not tagged on third base. And I throw it right straight at him instead of to the third baseman. Deadgum near hit him, and he scores. So when that's your high spot, you can imagine how bad the low spots were.
What did your dad tell you when you came home after that performance?
Well, he was one of our coaches, and he was benevolent, put it that way. Kinder than he would have been had it been a professional second baseman.
What did your dad do for a living?
He worked for the post office department. Interesting story, he started working with the post office in the late 1930s. So when the war came, he goes and enlists after Pearl Harbor, and they realize that he's worked the post office. So they assign him, he's with the U.S. Navy, and they assign him to Norfolk, Virginia, the head mail place for all the Navy around the world. And Dad kind of felt, I think initially, he kind of felt guilty that he had people that were going over being shot at and killed. And he's in Norfolk, Virginia, delivering the mail or sorting the mail and that type of thing. But he was told then by people that came back from overseas that the people that were working the mail were among the most important people in the military, because that was their only lifeline to being back home, was getting mail from their mother and their wife and their children. And so he felt like what his unit did took a new level of importance. So after he got out of the service, he worked with the mail with the post office department and worked until he retired in the 1970s.
Are you an only child?
I am an only child.
I wondered.
I have no brothers. Have a whole lot of close friends that were like my siblings, but yeah, I'm the only guy that grew up in the Scarborough household.
All right, I got a question for you. I'm going to let the cheer guy ask you this question because we have a new feature on the Nick Brown Show, and it is the cheer guy's list, and his list from today talking about I'll let him tell you.
Okay, so Lynn, our list today was the top individual college football teams of all time. And I hate to put you on the spot here, but if you've got to pick one college football team as the best team of all time, who are you picking?
In my lifetime, I would take probably Nebraska 1971. But I'm not, I'm old, but I wasn't there for the Army teams after the war. I wasn't there for the Red Grange teams and for the 3 in a row Minnesota national championship teams and so I wasn't there when you're saying of all time. I believe that the best team in my lifetime would be the Nebraska team in '71, who played against Oklahoma when they were undefeated, and what a lot of people think is the best football game that's ever been played in college football. I know people that believe the best football game was the Auburn Alabama game in what was 2013, and that was a great ball game. But I'm not sure that either one of those were the two greatest teams. And you had a unique situation in '71. Going into the last game of the season, you had 4 undefeated teams: Nebraska, Oklahoma, Auburn, and Alabama. And Alabama beat Auburn. Nebraska beat Oklahoma. Then Nebraska and Alabama got matched up, and Auburn and Oklahoma got matched up. And Oklahoma beat Auburn by 22, and Nebraska beat Alabama by 30-31. Nebraska annihilated Alabama, and Oklahoma annihilated Auburn. When at the last week of November, you had 4 undefeated teams, and it happened to be the state rivalry in Alabama and the biggest Big 12 rivalry between Oklahoma and Nebraska. So that's I having a lot of really, really great football teams.
Well, I know one of the earliest articles you ever wrote was about the 1899 Sewanee team, and that was my vote for the greatest team ever.
Bless their heart, they got beat 222-0. And I actually, unknown to you, I actually did do a feature about them one time, about the game between Georgia Tech and
Cumberland.
And Cumberland.
Yes,
right,
Sewanee was the team that went undefeated in 1899.
Yeah, I believe that was the same year that Georgia Tech beat Cumberland 222-0. And I don't even remember exactly the reason why I was assigned to do 1899 football. But I actually did that. They did a big poster in conjunction with that season, and I wish I could find it. I'd love to have it. I don't know where it is over the years. This is something I wrote probably in about 1970. 1980, something like that. But people don't realize that, that Sewanee was an original member of the Southeastern Conference. And, that's the way things were back then.
Before we get into all the copies of Lindy's, did you ever meet Phil Neal, the cartoonist?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I worked for when Post-Terrell, I was their stringer at Auburn, so that any news events, things that happened at Auburn, I was the guy that covered those for the Birmingham Post-Herald. Phil Neal was the primary cartoonist for the Birmingham Post-Herald, and he came up with the Albee character in the 1950s. They would have a cartoon on the front cover of the Auburn football program that would have Albee in some derogatory way toward, or actually, yeah, sometimes it was derogatory way toward the opponent, sometimes a praiseworthy way about Auburn, and that's where the Albee character, which has won mascot of the year nationally more than any other national mascot, and it was dreamed up by Phil Neal the cartoonist, who later had two sons, Mike Neal and Rick Neal, who played football at Auburn. Rick Neal was a safety. Mike Neal was a linebacker. And both of those guys, Rick Neal won a Florida State game in Tallahassee in the 1970s on a punt return for a touchdown, was the margin of victory. And Mike Neal has one of the most unheralded plays in Auburn football history. The punt that was blocked, the second punt that was blocked in the 17-16 game in 1972, only happened because on the play before that, Mike Neal sacked the Alabama quarterback on third down. If he makes the first down, Alabama doesn't have to punt. Auburn doesn't block it. Auburn doesn't win the game 17-16. So Mike Neal, an unheralded play from a really good football player.
Talking with Lynn Scarborough from Lindy's Magazine this morning on the Nick Brown Show. And Lynn, just going through all the magazines and looking at all the schedules. They're really a great job. Really enjoy all the pictures, high quality. There's nothing, it's just a quality product. And I enjoy reading everything, but I was going through and I started looking how you rank every single team, and you go through and you don't just do FBS, you go into FCS, you go into different divisions of college football. The staff, before we get into talking a question about the magazine, like how does this gather all the information on the staff? Just through contacts through the year, like Dennis Dodd, Anthony Gimino, but there's never a time when you guys are all together anymore.
I'd say that's correct. I don't know, Nick. I'm pretty sure this what I'm going to say is the truth. I've been with Lindy. I started with him in 1990. I've been with him full time since 1993, I believe. So I believe I'm correct in saying that in those 36 years, everybody that would consider themselves Lindy staff has never been together at one time at one place, because we're all over the country. You know, Sean O'Neill's in Idaho, and Dennis Dodd's in Kansas, and Anthony Gimino's in Arizona, and Mike Beacom is in Indiana, and you know, and we just got people, you know, all over that play important roles. And you look at the if you got the national edition there, go back toward the back where we've got FCS and FBS and Division III and all the different divisions back there. And you've got a guy's name there, and it's different names on different one, but it's names that have been with us in most cases a long time, and people that are experts at Division III. I can't tell you squat about Division III, other than I can name you some teams that are there and the teams that are usually the national favorites. But my knowledge is based on what I read and what I edit that is done for us by these individuals, and they are among the experts nationally in those levels of football. And those people have contacts at the individual schools. And, you know, they've got the contacts at, you know, at Muskegon and at, you know, that whole area in Ohio that has all the teams that win championships. And they know people at those schools, and they provide that information with paragraphs about those teams to our national editors in those sections. Those guys then prepare that information, and it comes to us and to Anthony Gimino, and we read it. And there are some times we'll make some changes, but for the most part we don't, because we trust the quality of our writers. We know the contacts that they've got in those locations, and we don't claim that we've got all the knowledge, but we've got the best people that do. And obviously we will put our staff up against anybody, because the reason our content is the best is because we got the best people that put it together.
You darn right you do. I just want to tell you, you're right. You do have the best staff of anybody.
Yeah, and I get the benefit to hire the writers for a number of different areas that we've talked about before. I'm responsible for the section in the state of Alabama, state of Georgia, state of Florida. I'm responsible for keeping the faith and for getting those topics and for hiring those writers. And that includes a writer this year that provided editorial content for the state of Florida, college and pro editions, Nick Brown. So proud to have Nick Brown with the byline in Lindy's again this year. People in Louisiana cannot go on the newsstands and buy that edition, but they can contact Lindy's office in Birmingham, or they can go to Lindy's website and they can get the edition with Nick Brown's byline in the 2026 magazine.
Nick was hoping that you would see the softball he threw up and give him a shout out.
You know, it was funny. It was funny yesterday. The cabbage was in the library, let's just say, at the house, and he asked for a magazine to read because he said, "Do we have any?" He says, "My son says, hey, can you buy magazines anymore?" And I'm like, "Yes, son, you can. You can go to," and I named 2 stores, get magazines. Because we don't have any magazines. I said, "Yes, we do." So I gave him I said, "Which copy of Lindy's do you want? Do you want the Southeastern? You want the National Edition?" So when I told him that I had written the article for Lindy's, he immediately said AI. And then so he said, "I want the magazine that you wrote for." So I gave it to him. He read the article. He said, "Dad, it wasn't AI because I just read your article and you threw Auburn twice in the Florida edition." I mention Alex Golesh leaving University of USF and coming. I can't remember the other reference that I made. I said, "There, you're exactly right. Now, AI computer wouldn't have made that reference, son." So, but it's interesting. I will tell you the little things you get. Those listening in Louisiana, you know that Luke McCown played quarterback for Louisiana Tech. Josh McCown, his brother. Well, if you go read one of your FCS profiles, you let everyone know that, and the magazine does, that Aiden McCown would be Josh's son, is the starting quarterback for Lamar, which is out of Beaumont, Texas, and they're in the top 20 in the FCS. So little things you get from reading Lindy's magazine.
Yeah, and you need and magazines are still greatly needed. We've all have to sit. I was reminded this last week as I sat 2 hours in the doctor's office waiting with my wife. Not only do you need them at home, but there are so many places you have to sit that a good magazine is still a good friend.
And there are a number of businesses that get our publications each year. I've got a company in the Birmingham area that is a service provider for me that I take a couple of copies for them to have in their lobby. Every year. Hey, and just for people that wonder, our football, baseball, and basketball magazines, guys, we sell about 700,000 of those publications, and the read through on our reader survey is about 2.1 per issue. So you multiply that out, that would be about 1.6, I guess, 1.5, 1.6 million. So we sell about 700,000 magazines every year from the 3 major sports. We know our limitations. We don't try to be everything to everybody. But if you want to read about college or pro football, baseball, or basketball, you need to go to Lindy's. And we're the best in the country, the largest in the country. And I know I'm bragging, but it's if you're in journalism, you could have made more money probably doing something else. But Nick, as you know, from waiting to get that magazine and seeing your byline on it, it's like getting a new child. It's like getting a new family member when you see that magazine roll off the press and come to your house.
It was interesting because I don't order many packages, but I can remember I was leaving the house and I saw the envelope that you mailed it in on the front doorstep. I stopped the car in the middle of the road, ran and got the copy of Lindy's. Here's something you get. I'm going to ask all of you. Now, Lynn, you probably know the answer, but over the last 4 years, the landscape of college football has changed. Could you tell me over the last 4 years which teams have had the best record in the SEC? The top 4 teams from 2022 to 2025. Can you guys tell me the 4 best teams with records, conference record, 4 best for the last 22-25?
You're talking all 4 years combined?
The conference record. Yes.
Not overall record.
Not overall record. The SEC record over the last 4 years.
Georgia.
Right, that's correct. I mean, I would guess that would be right.
They are number 1 at 29-3.
Alabama.
How many years has Texas been in the league?
They're going to qualify. So Alabama is 26-6 over the last 4 years. Conference record, if you're just now tuning in, that's SEC record the last 4 years.
Since you're bringing it up, is Auburn somewhere in
No, I'm going to cover that
No,
next.
no.
It's not an Auburn show. Last 4 years, my gracious alive, cheer guy, where have you been? Do you not, the name Brian Harsin mean anything to
I'm
you?
just making sure that you.
Yeah, you're right. Hugh Freeze
always
and Brian
try to
Harsin.
bring it in.
No, we've had 3 losing records in that period of time. So it's sure as heck isn't Auburn.
Georgia and Alabama.
How about Texas and Mississippi?
You know what? You must work for Lindy's because those are the top 4. Georgia's 29-3, Alabama 26-6, Texas 27-7, Ole Miss 22-10. Now, cheer guy, this may be cheer guy's last appearance on the Nick Brown Show. Can you name the bottom 4 teams?
So we have one, Auburn.
Auburn is 8-24 over the last 4 years in conference.
South Carolina.
No, South Carolina surprisingly 13-19.
Okay.
Yeah, South Carolina had a 10-win season or 9-win season.
Close to us in Louisiana.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State at the bottom, 6-26.
Kentucky
9-23. You're only missing one of the bottom, and they are very close to us.
Arkansas.
That is
I don't know
correct.
how I didn't think of
So the
Arkansas.
bottom 4 are Auburn 8-24, Arkansas 7-25, and Mississippi State 6-25. Kentucky 9-23. So there you go. Mississippi State has the worst record in conference the last 4 years. Georgia the best. And those are things that you can find out if you read Lindy's magazine.
Hey,
Hey, let me say something else, Nick, too, that I don't say often enough. I want to thank our sponsors because some of the guys that I listened to you do the promo zone while I was on hold from talking to Tabor are people that have been with us a decade and longer. And we've been doing I've been doing radio with y'all, with Fox for a long time. And the only reason that y'all are able to stay in business, the only reason that we're able to continue having friends in this audience is because of I've never been to Daylight Donuts. I've never been to the automobile dealerships. I don't drink coffee, but I'm going to guess that they also serve other things to drink and that they have other kind of food services.
All right, let me interrupt you right there because I came and I would come to Auburn and you said, hey, why don't you just stay at the lake house with us, which you don't drink coffee. I thought this is going to be this is not going to go well, but your darling bride, Cindy, got up and made coffee every morning.
My bride, Cindy, who's from Metro, Louisiana, and will drink coffee. She drinks it black. And
yes,
she's had coffee strong enough that you wouldn't have to go get it. You could just call it, and it would come and walk over to your table. She absolutely is a Louisiana coffee girl, no question.
Hey, FS has a question. He said, I've heard the Auburn player who recovered both of those kicks had over 5,000 stuffed in his jersey by the time he reached the locker room. Any truth to that?
I doubt it.
Maybe 500.
But here's the thing. The key to that is before he reached the locker room. I'm sure that in his career, in and out of football, I'm sure that the recovery and scoring on those 2 block kicks was very worthwhile to David Langner and his family. Now, the guy that doesn't get the recognition on that is Bill Newton, because Newton blocked the kicks, both of them. He broke in between Mike Hall and John Hanna. John Hanna, considered by some to be the greatest NFL offensive lineman in history, allowed a basically unknown Auburn linebacker to break through the line against him and block, that you know from listening to the Nick Brown Show.
There you go. Well, Lynn, as always, man, we certainly appreciate it. And let's go over this because should Lindy's, they go to a store that stays open 24 hours and it's not there. They go to a pharmacy and it's not there. They've sold out of Lindy's. You're not out of luck. You can go online and order that, correct?
That's correct. We do not have an endless inventory. We get some copies of every magazine we do sent to our publishing office in Birmingham. but every year we sell out of a number of different specific magazines where somebody will call in. I know last year I had a person I worked with in North Carolina. I told him to call the office to get the North Carolina cover edition of the National College Magazine, and we had sold out of it. And so I'm not going to promise that we're still going to have them this long into the cycle. But yes, you can go to the website and order them. You can specifically order if you want one of the copies with Nick Brown's article in it. Order a article from the state of Florida. Order a magazine from the state of Florida. Get the Gators on the front cover. Get Florida State and Miami on the national edition. Get the front cover with the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the cover, because Nick Brown has a widely distributed story, which, quite frankly, it's interesting. It's a lot of research was done by Nick Brown. A lot of research was done on the one that we put in the Georgia edition. A guy named Kai Mellett from Kennesaw State did a lot of research like Nick did. So if you want to really get into some statistics and some history and some research on football in these states, get the Georgia edition, get the Florida edition, because sounds good. Y'all do too.
That's Lynn Scarborough from Lindy's Magazine. You guys, I know that you may not read a lot, but you can just learn a lot just by flipping through all the lists. Very easy to read. Pick up your copy of Lindy's. There are 3 copies, the National Edition, the Southeastern Edition, and Pro Football. But we're going to take a break. I'm out of coffee. You refill your coffee cup. We'll be right back with more of The Nick Brown Show.
Has your yard work and summer fun already put your back and neck in a bind? Bending, lifting, twisting puts additional tension and pressure on your back and neck. Once your muscles and nerves become inflamed, you start to feel the pain and stiffness, and no matter how many over-the-counter medications you take, it just won't go away. Well, it's time to call Dr. Bob Rendina at Chiro Network in Ruston. Chiropractic treatments work to get your back and neck working properly again. Play it smart. Stretch before and after. And when you need a chiropractor, call Dr. Bob Rendina at Chiro Network in Ruston.
ProVision Security, preserving your past, protecting your future. Cameras, door monitoring starting at $14.99. ProVision Security is more than security. ProVision Security, 314 East Georgia in Ruston. Call Michael at 773-3703. Check him out on Facebook. ProVision Security.
Between school drop-offs, practice, and work, who has time to get sick? When your family needs medical care, don't press pause on your life. Adala Health Primary Care in Ruston is your ultimate health care game changer. We make family wellness easy with fast, comprehensive care, routine checkups, and school physicals. Our passionate team gets your crew back on track and back to your schedule without the hassle. Book instantly at AdalaHPC.com or call 318-551-4311 or visit Adala Health at 902 South Vienna Street today.
Get the plus, Homes Plus.
This is Brandon Kraft, General Manager at Homes Plus. Are you tired of your rent going up or paying someone else's bills? At Homes Plus, we are North Louisiana's land and home specialist, so come in and see us today so that we can show you how to own for less than renting.
Get the plus, Homes Plus.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46, and I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. It's all online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Please be advised, you may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
I thought those were good for me.
What's healthy for one person may cause inflammation for another. So how do you know what your body actually needs? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple at-home gut health test that analyzes your real-time biology to give you personalized nutrition guidance and custom supplements.
Learn more at Viome.com/gut. V as in Victor, IOME.com/GUT. And use coupon code GUTHEALTH50 to save $50 off your purchase.
Saturday morning, sports, and the Nick Brown Show. You can't beat it.
Welcome back to the Nick Brown Show, the Nick Brown Show Network. We appreciate you waking up on this Saturday morning with 2 hours of caffeinated sports talk. Pillowy Pluff Delicious Daylight Donuts. Of course, the 8 o'clock hour brought to you by Adala Health PC. We've moved in towards the middle of the 9 o'clock hour, but it's time for our second new feature each and every week. And we had the list from the cheer guy, and now we have inspirational words from the preacher man.
Inspirational words from the preacher man, brought to you by the Depot Coffee Shop.
The only thing would be better if at the end of it we had Bama Jim going, do your job. I want to say a word about training and discipline, because all of us out there need to have more discipline or something we've got good intentions about doing, and we just never get to it, whether it's exercise, whether it's dieting, whether it's learning something, developing a skill. And certainly in athletics, to be great, you have to have more than good intentions. You have to have discipline. You know, there's a quote that says, I always start the day with good intentions and then I get out of bed. But Michael Phelps is classic in this. He ends up being in 4 Olympics, winning 28 medals, 23 golds, I believe, or I may have my count wrong here, but he won 28 medals and 23 of them were gold. It is said that Michael Phelps worked out for 6 years without missing a day. 365 days a year, got in the pool for 5 to 6 hours, never missing a day. Whether he felt like it, didn't feel like good, bad day, good day, he had the discipline to get up and to get into the pool. So it's just a challenge to all of us. If we're going to be great at anything, we're going to learn something new. As a minister, if like daily you're going to spend time in God's Word, whether you feel like it or not, get up, get out there and do it. Closing thing here from Mark Twain. He says, and this is apropos to us here in Ruston because we love the peach, but he says, the sweetness of the peach, it started with a bitter almond, if you've ever been to that pit. So from that bitterness grows the sweet peach. So daily, get out there, hit it, whether you feel like it or not, and the result will be you'll learn something new, develop something new, or you will be great.
There you go. Inspirational words from the preacher man can be heard every week here on the Nick Brown Show. And to show you that Lynn doesn't just come on the show, he actually listens to the show as well. I didn't do Lindy's justice. There's actually 5 football editions. You have the Fantasy, the Big Ten, the Southeastern, the National, College, and Pro. And actually, really, you go in because there's the state editions between. So there's 5, but you have a Georgia, Alabama, and Florida editions as well. So pretty interesting stuff. But great motivational words. So I'll see you at the gym this afternoon.
I mean, that's just amazing to think about Michael Phelps. 6 years, and you don't miss a day getting in the pool. I mean, that's just... And it just kind of takes for granted when you see those performances like that, you forget about the time and effort and training and stuff that they put in that to be great. And so, just challenge us to be great as well. Going back to Cheer Guy's question, FS chimed in with a few things. One, he talked about the 47-game Oklahoma winning streak that they had. I think it was back in the 50s.
I think that's been a common thing that everybody's really mentioned Oklahoma.
And then he talked about his thought to the 71 Nebraska team, and then the game of the century that year where Nebraska beat So that was a good team.
Yeah, and I tried to avoid any doubles is why I only had one. I felt like you could make an argument for both of the Nebraska teams. We used the 1995 on the list, and I used the one that was during my lifetime was kind of my basis on that one.
That is kind of like the list we went through, and I think next week we are going to talk about it. So you have an entire week to prepare. If you're an Alabama fan, an Auburn fan, Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks from your college. And I can tell you that, like, I could pick Auburn, I could pick Alabama, in my opinion, just watching them all the years play. But I want to talk about that next week. That doesn't have to be your list. I'm not stealing your list. I guess we are going to have a show on July 4th, John. So Anyway, that's going to be our list.
From the fireworks at Temple.
Yeah, we'll see. They'll be announced this week. We'll see what's going on. But the Mount Rushmore quarterbacks, because you go through and you look at the seasons that you mentioned. I go back to Oklahoma. It's interesting. Barry Switzer's squads at Oklahoma. You go through, the way they used to run up the score on everybody. And you look at you at Tennessee, like you're going to say Johnny Majors or Phil Fulmer. You're going to go way back to Neyland, where the stadium's named. You go through. So a lot of good ones at Tennessee, a lot of heartbreak at Tennessee. I think that's one parallel, the national championship. And what is amazing to me, if you ask the common person, they'll tell you that Peyton Manning led Tennessee to the national title. But it wasn't. It was T. Martin out of Mobile, Alabama.
And still a big Heisman Trophy, Rob. People look at Woodson because he ended up being a great NFL player. But if you just look at his college stats that year, they were ready to give, and I remember that year dramatically because as all of a sudden, it's kind of like Peyton was anointed to get it before the season, and it was almost like they had to come up with another candidate. And then ESPN at that time, which carried Big Ten football, started pushing him. And he did have big plays in big games, but there have been a lot of defensive players that had better stats than him. Again, great player, Hall of Fame player, but I don't know. That one's always just kind of been a head scratcher.
Well, it's interesting because Peyton didn't win it, Eli didn't win it, Archie didn't win it. Does Arch win the Heisman Trophy?
Again, he's going to go into the season kind of, okay, who's going to beat him? But, man, Trinidad Chambliss may have unbelievable stats before the year is over. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they anoint him or if they, get to pushing for somebody else. And Texas has got a tough schedule. I mean, they don't have a cakewalk to the championship,
That they really don't. And you go through, and I think Arkansas, our Razorback fans, we're going to be a tough year for the Woo Pig Suey. They're one of the toughest schedules in the country, according to Lindy's magazine. And you go through it and look, we'll break down Arkansas' schedule, have a good guest from Fayette will come on and join us in a couple of weeks. But if you look at it, you talk about the University of Texas, and you look at that schedule, and I go back to, there's a part of me, and all my family can turn their radio off now, there's a part of me would like to see Ole Miss do well. Simply because the shots that we're taking, and no, oh, Brownie, you're getting soft. You're pulling for Ole Miss. No, I'm not. I'm not going to tell my brother-in-law I'm pulling for his alma mater. My niece and nephew both go to Ole Miss. I'm telling you, the Browns have every school covered but Vanderbilt, and that's not going to happen. But here's the thing. You look at Sarkisian takes shots about underwater basket weaving. Lane Kiffin taking shots. All of these things. There's a part of me that really wants Pete Golden, not just because he went to Delta State, but yeah, partly because he went to Delta State to do well.
Oh, I don't think there's anything that would make me happier than to see Ole Miss do well this season. I mean, like you said, I think that the shots that he's had to take, and the way that I think that he's composed himself very well when people are taking shots at him and his program, and he really hasn't fought back super hard with it. I think that I just would love to see him do well this season, and I think that he's got the pieces there to do well. I think Chambliss is, going to have an unbelievable year once again, and so I think that he's got the tools in place as long as he can keep them focused.
Absolutely.
FS also chiming in on your mention of Neyland. Every expansion of Neyland Stadium has been based on the plans of Coach Neyland himself, because he was an Army-trained engineer. And his stats at Tennessee would be a whole lot better. He left 2 times during his time at Tennessee to go back and serve in the military. And then
did they have football the years that he left?
Yeah, he left. Now, I know there was maybe 1 year during World War II or something, or a lot of schools didn't play, but left twice, came back twice, and or his stats would have been, as great as they were, would have been even a whole lot more impressive.
All right, jump right into it before we go to the break. You look at Texas's schedule. They open up with Texas State. That's going to be a win. Then the next week, September 12th, Ohio State. That's going to be tough.
Where's that at?
That is in Texas. Then they host 3 home games in a row before they travel to Tennessee. So Texas State, Ohio State, and UTSA all in Austin to start the season. So, depending on how that September 12th game goes, most likely the Longhorns are going to be 3-0 headed to Rocky Top. Okay, after Rocky Top, they meet in Dallas, the State Fair game. Then Florida on the 17th. So, they do have a bye week in between Tennessee and Oklahoma. Then they host Florida. They host Ole Miss. They host Mississippi State. They travel to Missouri. They travel to LSU. They host Arkansas. Then they travel to College Station.
I mean, there's a lot of games in there where Texas A&M, LSU, you said Ole Miss.
Yes, they do. Ole Miss comes to Austin.
There's just OU with the defense that they have. To not bump your toe, at least now you can bump your toe and make the playoffs, but there's a lot of tough games in there because there's just no weak sisters. I mean, Texas was lucky last year versus Mississippi State, to pull it out. So,
all right, love to hear from you at 888-993-7762. We're going to take our final break. You listen to the Nick Brown Show on the Nick Brown Show Network. We'll be right back after this break.
Friends, this is Skip Russell, your #1 insurance agent in Ruston for the past 42 years. I want you to know that I would be proud to be your insurance agent. Come by and check out our new lower rates on automobile insurance. Call us at 255-5050 or come by our office at 105 Reynolds Drive in Ruston. That's behind Wendy's and Captain D's. Thank you.
Hey guys, the gals aren't the only ones that care about their look. Let Adrian Russell or Dara Davis at La Bella Salon give you just the right hairstyle. Need a massage? Mamie Lee is their massage therapist and can work out those sore, tired muscles. Go ahead, schedule an appointment today. Call La Bella Salon 202-5848. La Bella Salon, 105 Reynolds Drive, next to Skip Russell State Farm in Ruston. What are you waiting for? Now's a great time to give them a call. La Bella Salon, 202-5848. Walk-ins welcome.
Okay, so clearly the word is out about Country Pleasin' sausage. Thank you for helping make Country Pleasin' your go-to sausage on game day. From original to jalapeno and cheese, black pepper cheddar, even crawfish and pork, we can't get enough at Sports Talk 97.7, and it seems like you can't either. Check for Country Pleasin' at your local retailer, and for additional flavors, check them out at countrypleasin.com. That's countrypleasin.com.
You were an entrepreneur before you knew what an entrepreneur was. The boss of every stuffed animal in the toy box. The kid who had strategy and passion from day one. You ran a lemonade stand that actually turned a profit. Every day, Origin helps people like you who've always had the vision to see the full potential of any idea and make it happen. Connecting people to their dreams is our passion. Every great relationship has an origin story. Start yours today.
Member FDIC.
Trained to push past the pain. Not athletes, just people. Men, women, and children trafficked every day in the United States. Sometimes by someone they trusted, sometimes by their own family. While millions watch the World Cup, they're fighting to survive in silence. Help us change that. Visit bluecampaign.gov/World Cup to help us break the silence.
It's here! King of the Hill and WD-40 brand present the limited edition King of the Hill WD-40 Collector's Can. Available now exclusively at the Home Depot, in-store and online. How many are you grabbing? One for you, one for your dad, and one for every Hank in your life. Get your King of the Hill WD-40 Collector's Can today before they're gone. Watch the new season of the Hulu original King of the Hill on July 20th. Streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply. Available nationwide for a limited time or while supplies last. Availability varies by location and online.
Thanks for tuning in to The Nick Brown Show. On the air, online, and free app.
You know, it's crazy. You always say that I hate Louisiana. You haven't listened to the cheer guy. I mean, you're the quiet.
I heard him.
You hear him?
Yeah, I heard him.
I mean, really? Yeah, I really wish, you think about it, with the state of Louisiana, I would like to do
He's
this.
trolling you, but
No, he's not trolling me. He's trolling you. Doesn't bother me one bit. But I will tell you this.
you've ranted for 45 seconds about it, but it doesn't bother you.
It doesn't.
No, I will say this is one
Okay,
of
we're going to
the
ask you a
top
tough
5
question.
songs.
No, no, that's
No,
what we're
actually,
gonna
that's
ask you.
going to be a list.
See
No,
how
we're going
quick
to
you
pause
said
that.
no?
That's
He
going
hates
to be a
Louisiana.
list. That's going to be a list.
We
We're
already
gonna
got
do
it.
top 5 greatest fight songs.
Oh, there's no doubt. It's there. There's no doubt. I don't care who you are. It may be a cult, but the greatest one
if
is
the Texas Aggie Fighting Marching Band
Yes.
and Fight
Not-
On are not a part of that. It's
no Texas
no-
A&M's tops. It is.
Yeah.
And I will when Louisiana Tech played them at Independence, getting to watch that
Oh,
live.
yes,
one
the
of
mo-
the
I've-
best that and watching the Eagle at Auburn fly into the stadium. Top 2 greatest live sports moments for me.
On one hand, you've got extremely technical marching. On the other hand, you've got a bird flying over your head that might take a dump on top of you.
It was the fact that everyone.
When
in the
did you
s-
see that?
When Tech played them,
At
I
the
got
Man-
to see it
the
from
Manziel
on
game?
the field.
What year?
When
That's
Tech
important.
played Auburn,
Yes.
so that would have been 15. 15.
A&M,
I was at that game.
A&M's a place to go and watch a football game. Not easy to get to, but just the way. I mean, yeah, they do have their weird cultish stuff, and including that,
Ish.
including the cringy, things that they do with jokes on the night before pep rally. But the way their fans, in unison, rock and cheer and do, and they're very friendly fans. I had fans buy my food at the concession stand. We're so glad you're here.
Probably,
Can I get your stuff?
Probably you were in cutoff blue jeans and they felt sorry for you, and you were probably didn't have sunscreen and your ginger.
I had a
you
mullet
were burned.
I had a mullet wig on. Hey man, I'm glad to be here in town.
But no,
Are you saying, preacher man, that you want to become a yell leader?
Yeah.
Are you
He
the
looks
official
like a yell-
FBC yell leader?
The
think so.
jokes they tell at those things. Oh my goodness.
But my favorite is that people will hate on the yell leaders and A&M and stuff, and I'm like, if any of your fan bases could unify in the way that they do, you would probably get made fun of also.
That's all good and well, but they're Texas 8-4 for a reason.
Yes.
At the end of the
No,
day,
for sure.
At the
Now
end
you
of
went
the
back.
day.
You went back to the Independence Bowl. Went to that game. I think Jamar Toombs was running back for
He's
A&M.
still running over
He's still
people.
running. So I'm directly challenged. There's no lot of marital discord over me getting lost. I mean that just happens. And so everybody.
How many times did you go by the McDonald's in Starkville?
I thought, man, Starkville's a pretty big town to have 7 McDonald's. And then I'm like, that guy's been at every one of them. And maybe that's the same McDonald's. So when we went to watch Louisiana Tech and Texas A&M play at Independence Stadium, everybody in the free world entered on this other side except for the Brown family. We parked over behind Fair Park High School, and that the high school's up on the hill. And so we walked in the back way. Now, good thing about that is they don't check the tickets, and someone from the Texas A&M marching band said, hey, I'll open the gate for you. And they did, and they were practicing underneath the stadium. Absolutely phenomenal. He can talk about Texas A&M 8-4. I will say that band and that fight song is the best fight song in college football.
One thing I think with your experience at Auburn and us being the little guys, the pea ants, there's so many things that go into making great football games that a lot of times, I mean, the band, the pre-band stuff and all that's involved, the things that they play from the stands, when the cheers do get everybody going in unison, what the managers and trainers have to do and all that.
All right, you sent that text the other day, and you said that, and I apologize for not responding because I had no idea what you were talking about. But here's the thing. Yes, there's a guy that I actually roomed with at Auburn, lived about 4 houses down, Tim Walker. And I'm going to call Tim because I'm not really sure what he does, but I think that I know he's in charge of the review, the replay, but he has to set all of that up and all the telecommunications. And at these big venues now, like when you go to a game and it says on the screen, if you have an emergency to text 877, like cheer guys drunk and disorderly. I think he has the cameras that are on, like, okay, let's go to section, like you tell him, section 41, then he goes. So I'll reach out to him.
The security that's involved, the guy that has to make sure every helmet has the decals put on correctly, every piece of uniform is in a locker that a player needs.
Say you watch Rudy without saying you watch Rudy.
the nutritionist and all they have to get. I mean, it's a lot goes into a game day that it's just easily to take advantage, to take for granted, and a lot that makes a great experience for us besides the game.
Absolutely. And if there's someone you'd like for us to reach out to, nickbrownshow@yahoo.com. Also, once we get into college football season, I want to go back and let's find the stars of yesteryear. Like, who would you like to reach out to? I'm going to tell you one that I'm going to reach out to, and Quentin, you can turn your radio down. Lewis Colbert was a punter for Auburn. Now, I love special teams. The thing that I liked about Lewis Colbert is he had like half a foot. And I want to see like whatever happened to Lewis Colbert and go through. Walter Lewis. My brother went to Boise State in Alabama with Walter Lewis's cousin. Walter Lewis was the first black quarterback, started at the University of Alabama. Like, where's Walter Lewis today? And there are other people maybe from Louisiana Monroe, maybe Tennessee, maybe Louisiana Tech. Just reach out and see what they are doing, kind of like a Where Are They Now series. So if you have anyone in the listening audience that you'd like for us to reach out to, just give us a email to nickbrownshow@yahoo.com. That's nickbrownshow@yahoo.com. Love to hear from you.
Last quote by FS, you just can't let an Aggie build your bonfire. It's either going to be huge or it's going to collapse in.
All right. And that is the inspirational words from the preacher man as he heads out to see Toy Story 5. We'd love to hear from you at 888-993-7762.
Because I got a bunch of grandkids.
There you go. Enjoy the movie. 888-993-7762. It is the Origin Bank hotline and text line. We started the show talking about Cheer Guy, about having that fifth year. And I mentioned that the class of 2022 is going to be upset. And I know that the answer, if you're not involved with it, is going to be always, well, there's always going to be a 68, 69 team. There's always going to be someone that left out. But if you think about this, if the NCAA wanted to, they could end all these lawsuits now and say, let's just say, Cheer Guy, you went to Louisiana Tech playing baseball. You were redshirted your freshman year. You went to a JUCO, played for 2 years. So you've been in college for 3 years. By the rules, you have 2 years left to play. Now, if I finished after you and didn't redshirt, and I've been 2, I now suddenly get that year. So basically the year that you were redshirted, other people are going to get to play. If you went in right now and said, okay, if you're in college right now, it doesn't matter if you played 3 years, all of you have 5 years, because that's what's going to be the rule with everybody that comes in next year. So like players that were redshirted now only have 2 or 1 year remaining. But if they went in and just said everybody that's on a roster has that 5th year, they would end all their lawsuits.
Well, and I think that's something that honestly may come out in the wash as all of this kind of plays through the legal system, is that I could see them saying, hey, look, we kind of jumped the gun on this a little bit. Let's just back up a little bit. Okay, if you redshirted that first year, you've played 2, you have you'd have 3 more.
3
more
right
left.
Now you have 2.
Yeah, I would say that if you've maybe even if they say, hey, if you've collected stats during a year, it counts or something. And that way that, because like you said, with football, I think you can play 4 games, and as long as you don't play in a 5th.
That's correct.
Whereas in baseball, as soon as you throw 1 pitch
Yeah.
or play 1 at bat or whatever, you've burned that.
Like
year
I knew
of
a pitcher a few
eligibility.
years ago, Louisiana Tech, threw 4 innings. That's it.
Right.
4 innings, not 4 games, 4 innings.
Right, and that used a whole year of his
and
eligibility.
didn't even finish and complete the inning. They're the half inning.
Right, and so that's where I think that they're going to run into some issues, because I mean, like if a football player that came in, and to me, if he played in 4 games but didn't appear in the 5th, he kind of used a year of eligibility, in my opinion, which I do like that this gets rid of all of that, because I think that that's gotten outrageous.
Now, you go through with, of course, Sorsby, no supplemental draft in the NFL. But I find this interesting. 3 of the former college basketball players who pleaded not guilty in the point-shaving case are going to change their pleas, which makes me think that they have indeed reached a plea agreement. That St. Louis forward Bradley Ezerio, Buffalo and Alabama State guard Sean Fulcher, and New Orleans guard DeQuavion Short are scheduled to appear in federal court in July to change their please. So certainly appreciate all of you listening to the show today. Thanks to the Preacher Man. Thanks to John Tabor. Thanks to Steve back on Classic Hits 94.5 and the Cheer Guy. We appreciate all of our sponsors. Thank you to them as well. And guys, until next week, as always, keep the coffee warm.